A Pilgrim Song. Those who trust in God are like Zion Mountain. Nothing can move it. A rock-solid mountain you can always depend on. Mountains encircle Jerusalem, and God encircles his people, always has and always will. The fist of the wicked will never violate what is due the righteous, provoking wrongful violence. Be good to your good people, God, to those whose hearts are right. Peace over Israel.
John, chapter 10, verses 1 through 18. I tell you the truth. The man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads the sheep out to follow him. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. All who ever come before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in. The thief will only come in to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come in so that they may have life and live it to the full. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd who owns the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my Father, and my Father knows me, just as the Father knows me, and I know my Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep, that they are not in the sheep pen. I must bring them as well. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life, only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it back up again. This command I have received from my Father. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
All right, we're here again at the same place that we were many weeks ago when we started this thing about the peepers. And I know maybe it will be a little bit boring that we're going to the same place, but I thought that what we would do was go down by the water's edge down here and just sit and listen for a little bit. So you can follow me down. We're going to try to be quiet though, however. Part of the reason that I wanted to come down here again was that when we were walking past here just a little while ago, it's a little after 7 o'clock now, so things kind of happen when the sun goes down, and it just gets kind of, the animals kind of get wakened up a little bit. I guess they feel a little bit safer. But when we were walking by here, we saw ripples in the water just down here in this lower pond. And what it was a huge muskrat. And the muskrat, it must have been about, I don't know, it seemed like it was about 3 feet long. It was a large muskrat. You can see up there that bird that's in the tops of the trees up there. It's singing away. Well, what I was thinking about was that, you know, we've been in this, we've been home from school now for a long time, and the rest of us have been, you know, not going to our regular workplaces, and it seems to kind of just go on. Well, there's a lot of other things that keep going too, and one of those things is the animals. And they teach us that no matter what, life goes on, and that even when we think that everything is given up for good, we're reminded that life goes on and that God continues to be with us. So whether it's the birds up there, whether it's these big peepers, or even big muskrats that I didn't think that we'd see it again, but life goes on and God's world still goes on. I miss you a lot, but we will be together and we will get through this. And just don't pinch your brothers and sisters too much during this time. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Shepherd Sunday. Shepherd Sunday comes around every year. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. And then from a little different version. God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I am not afraid when you walk by my side. Your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure. You save me and serve me 6-course dinner right in before of my enemies. You revive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. And I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life. What I'm always reminded about is a well-known author and Rabbi Harold Kushner. He would say that in his how many years he was in the ministry, 35 or 40 years, he said in all of those years, no matter how bad the situation or how tragic the memorial service or how grievous the funeral was, that the only thing that he had to do was to start reciting that psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And it had this almost kind of a tranquilizing effect on the congregation. It would be as if the whole congregation would take a huge breath and everybody was to calm down. It was as if he had this kind of magic weapon in his tool belt that he could pull out at any time. And it is a reminder to us in these days of seemingly constant worry, where we wake up each morning with a big rock in our gut of anxiety. It's a reminder that God's promises to us was never that life would be fair, but that when it was our turn to have to confront the unfairness of the world, that no matter how bad it got, no matter how hard it is, that you would be able to handle it because God was there. God will be there at your side. And so commentators of this psalm say that the objective center of the psalm is the shepherd, and of course it is the shepherd, because you see the shepherd that runs through the whole psalm. It kind of dominates the whole thing. But the emotional center of the psalm is Death Valley. The emotional center is, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's what really hits the mark for us humans who have been reminded of our unquestionable vulnerability. We all know a little bit about Death Valley. My valley is not your valley. Your valley is not my valley. But we all know a little bit about what the valley is like. But I think that the center of the psalm is not the shepherd or the valley, but the most important word in the psalm, and I'll claim it for myself, The most important word is the word through. God, the shepherd, leads us through the valley. God does not leave us in the valley. God does not say that no valley is ever going to befall you, or that those evil valley moments only attack those people who really deserve it. He seems to be saying to those who get those attacks, he seems to be saying to the psalmist again that when it is your turn to have to confront the valley, to walk the valley path, that God's going to be there. And that God's going to be at your side to walk you through. And I think that's more realistic. It's a more realistic view, and because the shepherd is there, we're going to be okay. Now, through, I realize, is not an easy way. And through is not a very sexy or sleek term. It is not an escape hatch by any stretch of the imagination. It is just a very real word. This psalmist started out in a perfect kind of low stress kind of situation. He starts out in the green pastures in sun, but then something happens, like it always does. Something happens. At first, he cannot believe it. This is not how life is supposed to go, but go it does. Life and sunshine become dark valley. But it is there, right there, where this traveler discovers really who God is. Not a God who promises happy endings, but a God who says, even if the endings are not happy, that I will give you the capacity. I will give you the strength. I'm gonna give you the courage to get through. There's that word again. Through. The most important word. God gets us through. It is easy to get stuck there in the shadows. We do not know how to get out of it. Sometimes it is even that we can begin to cherish the shadows. But it's here where that main object, the shepherd, gets his main purpose, and that is that he takes our hand and he leads. We will even be led sometimes into deeper shadows, taken before our very enemies. But there we discover that there is just a feast. And it's there that we are assured that we, even in the presence of evil things and evil happenings, that we are safe. Because the shepherd is there. And through it all, we are anointed, which simply means that we are made aware that we, in the presence of the shepherd, are special, treasured. We are that one lamb who the shepherd abandons the other 99 to go out after us when we get lost. And because of this, we realize that really our lives overflow. And life is really gratitude and grace. Gratitude and grace. The psalmist learns a lot in just 6 very short verses. The psalmist, in a sense, grows up. He or she, at the deepest level, knows maybe for the very first time who he or she is and who God is. Dark valleys have a way of doing that. The Lord is my shepherd. I don't need a thing. The Lord is my shepherd. And with the shepherd, we will always get through. It's gratitude and grace. Gratitude and grace. Amen. And so, people of God, look up to receive God's benediction. You are the people of God. God, our great creator, loves you. Jesus Christ came into the world to deliver us from the power of sin and death. The Spirit has been with us in this virtual worship experience, and now the Spirit goes out with you into your worlds. And so go in the strength and in the courage of our triune God, Creator, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.